Hey everybody, it's Teach It Tuesday, and today I'm going to be bringing back a pattern we did previously, but we're going to be doing it a little bit differently this time because I have a lot of people in the comments asking to show this pattern with sleeves because I did it the tank version last time. So this is the Simple Life Pattern Company Isla Peplum, and I'm going to be doing this one with sleeves this time. So I'm going to show you guys how to attach the sleeves. It's really simple. It's actually just one little step that you don't have to do, which is that burrito method. You don't do that. And then you'll put your sleeves in. So I've got my fabric here. Before we get started, just a recap on what you need. You need the skirt. You need a sleeve, because if you're adding sleeves to this, obviously you'll need the sleeve. And then you'll need the top here. And I like to cut at the straight bodice. It's just what I like to do. Just cut at the straight bodice here. And then the sleeve, or the circle... The circle skirt here, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and cut it on a double fold, which if you watch the previous video, it's the exact same way. I cut it on double fold. So here's the fabric. I've already double folded it, but I'm going to show you what I do. So let me open it up. All right, so this has already been folded over. So here's a fold right here. This is the edge that's folded. So I've already folded it once. And what a double fold means is that you fold it over once here. And I like to start in the corner of like a big piece of fabric like this. I like to start in the corner. Don't fold it and fold it, your entire piece of fabric, and then put your circle down, because you're going to have a big circle in the middle of your fabric. And you just wasted a whole bunch of fabric. So I like to do it on the corner of my fabric. What I like to do is like to put my pattern piece down. Okay, so I'm like, I know that much I need, and then I flip it over, and then I know that much I need, and then so I like to cut out the square and then move my fabric over to the side so that I know I have exactly what I need to do this circle skirt. All right, and the pattern actually just calls for to cut on one, but then you'll have two side seams. If you just cut on one fold, you'll have two side seams. So if you're doing a directional fabric, that's a great way to do that. Do the cut on one fold. Make sure that you're paying attention to your fabric, making sure that if you're using a printed fabric with characters or something like that, make sure that your pattern piece is laying correctly on your fabric, so that your characters aren't upside down. So you would cut on a single fold like the pattern instructions call for. But I like to do it on a double fold, especially if I'm using a solid fabric like this, which is just ivory double brush poly from Knit Pop. All right, so then you fold it over again, make sure all the wrinkles are gone. Okay, and so then this is folded edge. This was the original folded edge. And then now I've created another fold right here. And so what you need to do is you need to put the small curve against this folded corner here. So this is the only corner that's like double folded. So remember, that's where that's going. So I'm just going to use my little pattern weights here. All right, and then I'm going to be using my Alpha rotary cutter here. I had to upgrade recently because mine started breaking a little bit after a couple years of wear. So I got an Alpha and I love it. This thing cuts amazing. Okay, so for this outer circle, nothing's going to be different, this outer curve here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that. Just be really careful. And the best part about cutting it on a double fold is that you really don't have to hem it unless you want to, unless you want it to maybe look a little bit more finished. But technically, since you don't have a seam to finish and this fabric doesn't fray, you don't have to hem it if you don't want to. Just remember, it will be slightly longer because they do include a hem allowance for this pattern. So it's intended to be hemmed. So if you don't hem it, it will likely be a little bit longer than intended. So just remember that. Okay, so since I do cut on the double fold, I do add a seam allowance back in here on my curve here. So what I like to do is I like to cut about a 1/2 inch above this line, this curve line. So I just gotta guide it around. And you can always cut, if you're afraid that you're going to cut off too much, you can always cut off a little bit and then do a little bit more if you're too afraid. But basically, here's the paper, and I've cut off about a 1/2 inch above that, because since it's technically supposed to be, this pattern is designed to be cut on a single fold with the two side seams, and so you'll have to take into account those two side seams. So if you cut this exactly like this on a double fold, the circle will be a little bit, quite a bit bigger than the actual peplum bodice opening. So that'll save you a little bit there. So before we get going, I'm going to go ahead and snip these points here and then these two folded points here. So now my skirt is quartered up. All right, and I have my two sleeves, sleeve, And then this is a lined pattern because you have to, there's no neckband. So I have 2 of each of these. And I do like to just use one. I'm sorry, I forgot that. I do like to just use the front bodice on my peplums. The swoop is just perfect for the top, for the front and the back. The original pattern piece has a back pattern. I like to use 2 of the front. So you'll need 4 front pieces cut out total. And what you will do, we'll go ahead and get everything ready and then go over to the serger to get it finished. But if you don't have a serger, you can do this on a sewing machine, no problem. Just use a zigzag stitch. I do like to shorten my zigzag stitch width just a little bit. I typically, my machine has it automatically set on, one second. Ivory's a little bit hard to tell which side is the correct side, but you can typically tell, you want to put these right sides together. So like 1 and 1 right sides together, 1 and 1 right sides together. But the double brush poly, you can typically tell what side is the correct side and what side is the wrong side by looking at your fabric. First of all, I always say the wrong side looks more fuzzy in my opinion than the right side. And also the back side is also tends to be a little bit more rich in color than the right side. But technically it's double brush poly. A customer will not really know unless you have a trained eye to know the front and the back with a solid fabric. Just pick one and go with it. But the right side will typically have like a V structure in the stitching, and the back side will have like, what is it? Like squares almost. So just pay attention to that. I find that the right side is more shiny, while the back side is more matte looking. So just pick which one's your favorite, but for correctness, that's how it goes. All right, so right sides together. As you see, I put those together. I'm just matching up the shoulder seams because we're about to sew those. And so pretty much everything is exactly like the tank version, except for you're gonna stop before you do the burrito method. So what I like to do with my sleeves, I'm gonna open these up. And of course you're gonna put them wrong side up because you want to fold them. I like to do about a 1/2 inch fold right here on my sleeves. Best part about double brush poly is it's like sticks to itself sometimes. So if you can just push it down, it kind of goes ahead and sticks to itself. So I folded that up. I'm gonna do the same thing here. And then I like to go ahead and hem my sleeves in the flat because I find it a lot easier than doing it in the round. But if you have a cover stitch or something like that, you can do it in the round or you can do it in the flat, whichever one you want. Just know when you do it in the flat, you're gonna have a seam on your sleeve, but you can top stitch that down if you want to. So I'm gonna go ahead and zigzag stitch these down and I'll be right back. Here's what the just zigzag stitched sleeves look like on the end here. So that's the right side, of course, and then the wrong side would be the side that I folded to here. All right, so now we can go to the serger with all of this stuff and finish this pattern up over there. Okay, so I'm at my serger, and again, if you don't have a serger and all you have is a sewing machine, just use a zigzag stitch to get this done. So I'm putting the sleeves right side together here, and I'm gonna put the folded edge in first underneath the blade here, and I'm just gonna do this edge here, serging it together. Alright, and I'm going to cut my tail just to make it even here on the end. And what I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and tuck my tail on this seam here with my nitpicker. Alright, so now that seam is secure. It's not going anywhere. And so if you ever hear anybody say secure your seams, that means just make sure that tail is going somewhere, whether you knot it. I found knotting works, but after some wear, it doesn't really hold up that well in my opinion. But this right here, if you fold that seam over and then do a straight stitch right there, it will fold that down so that won't stick up like that. Just a tip, you don't have to do that, just to make it maybe a little bit more comfortable for the wearer. Same thing with the other sleeve. Exact same thing. cut it kind of short because it's easier to work with, I feel like, when it's a little shorter. Just my opinion. So you pop this little nitpicker out, wrap the tail in and pull it through, cut the excess off, and that's good to go. So you're going to turn your sleeves right side out for the later bit when we add the sleeves. So turn your sleeves right side out. Okay, so we're going to set our skirt to the side, and we're going to do the shoulder seams of both the lining and the front bodice here. So shoulder seams, right sides together, seam here, serge those. I'm just going to put these in here, just make sure everything's still lined up good. If you need to use pins or clips, whatever. I'm needing to change my blade here. It's doing some crazy things, but it'll work. Alright, and then clip your tails. Don't clip them too short, but clip them enough so they're not in the way. All right, so next what you're going to do, make sure you guys can see me here. All right, so next what you're going to do is open up what you just did, and there should be a neck hole here. So you're going to put it right sides together, which would mean the seam's on the bottom, and then this seam would be on the top. Open this one up as well, right sides together, just like this. And then you're going to match up your shoulder seams here. You can put a pin if you want to. I kind of just like to hold it in place, and you can nest your seams. Of course, you know that means one's going one way and one's going the other, as you can see here. And so then what I like to do is kind of flip this over, grab this part here. You saw that. So this is how it looked, and this is how I like to put it in a serger. And to hold this part, it just makes it easier to go around. So I'll flip you back around so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I've held it like that so that when I put this in here like this, I put it right on that seam there on the shoulder. I'm going to go around, making sure everything's still lined up. Then I'm going to go over here to this shoulder seam and make sure it's lined up. I'm not pulling, I'm just laying it flat on this edge here. And so I'm just making sure that my two raw edges of this neck hole are still lined up. Keep going around the neck hole, making sure your two raw edges are still lined up. And don't pull because it will make a wavy neckline seam. Alright, so we're going to go back over where we started. I'm going to pull it out, cut my tail, tuck my tail with my nitpicker. It's being a little hard here. Pull it through and snip it. Okay, so next what you're going to do. Alright, so you're going to flip this out. There's a piece of fuzz there. Okay, so you got your neck hole done. Mine's a little wonky, but once you get it done, it'll fix itself. Okay, so what you're going to do is this part and this part, you're going to kind of push through the neck hole here. So that it looks like this now. Right, so your neck hole is flipped right side out. And if you want to like make it perfect, you can. So like that. So your neck hole is now right side out. What you're going to do now, you're not going to do a burrito method, which is what you would do here to finish these sleeves if you were doing a tank, which this is the arm side here. If you were doing the tank, you do it just like the video that we have. If you want to do the tank version, go check out our video in the past. We can link it somewhere. So you're not going to do that, but what you're going to do is you're going to skip the burrito step, and then what you're going to do is, we did this in the tank one, but we did it after the burrito step. So you're going to flip this part over to here. Alright, so you're going to grab that front layer here, like this. So we flip that one side over to here, and then when you pick it up, you're going to match up the back side the same way. And so what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be grabbing your side seams here, and here, and here, and here. So technically, this part that I'm holding can either be the like the outside of the garment or the lining, and then this side over here, which is going to be the same thing. It'll feel a little weird, but all you just need to do is make sure you're matching up those side seams together, right sides together. You'll do the same thing on this side. These side seams together and these side seams together. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so make sure your side seams are together. Cut your tails, not too short. And I like to go ahead and do the other side of the exact same side here. All right, and then we're going to flip it over and do the other side here. And do the very last side seam. So there should be 4 side seams all together because you're doing 2 on the lining and 2 on the outside. Alright, and then so what you're gonna do then is just flip one side over, and you're basically flipping the outside onto the lining. So that's what it looks like, and the only thing that's not finished now is our sleeve holes. Okay, so the neck hole is completely done, and we just have to do the sleeves now. So what I like to do, since this is the same, right, like the lining and the actual outside piece of fabric is the exact same color, I just need some pins real fast. All right, so I got my pins, and I need my sleeves here. What I was saying is you would do this on the inside out, but since these are the same, it's not really going to matter too much for here, but you would apply the sleeves on the inside out. You'd apply the sleeves, which we turned right side out, to the inside of this fabric here, but since it's the same color, I like to just go ahead and make sure my shoulder seams are matching up and put a pin in there. Do the same thing over here real fast, making sure that the seams in here are going the same way. It makes it a lot less bulky. And then I also, before I sew in my sleeve here, so here's the garment. We're going to call this inside out for the purpose of this video. So the right side would be on the middle here, or on the inside, my bad. Okay, so here's the sleeve, right side out. You're going to snip up here where this finger is. I need to snip here, just because I like to make a snip point at the top of my sleeve, because it helps me to match up the seams here, so that I make sure that I'm pinning my sleeve correctly to the arm side. Okay, so this point we just snipped up here is going to go through the neck hole into the armhole here, and I'm going to match it up with that top point here. And then I don't like to pin the bottom here because I like to just hold it, but you're going to make sure your side seams of your actual garment are going the same way, and then you want to grab your sleeve seam here and match it up with that. So then this is what the sleeve looks like. This is the inside of the sleeve you're looking at here, and I like to start right here on this seam. I'm going to put it under my knife here and turn the camera. Alright, so then I just go around the arm side here, making sure that the 2 raw edges of my garment and the one raw edge of my sleeve are still all together. And you don't stretch it, you just make sure they're laying flat. Remove that top pin if you pinned there. Make sure all your edges are still lined up. You will have to finagle it just a little bit. I'm gonna go back over where I started. And of course, you guessed it, tuck my tail. We've got one sleeve here, and this is the elbow sleeve. I don't think I was specific. They have tank, they have short, they have elbow, and they have long in this pattern. And so you pop this thing out, and now it's right side, it's inside out, as you can see, but that is the sleeve attached. We're gonna do the exact same thing to the other side really fast. All right, sorry guys, but my camera cut off, but that's the other sleeve. It's the exact same way. I just went around the circle and cut off the part that I started on and then tucked my tail, and we're good to go. So that's what it looks like when it's inside out. And so we'll flip this right side out, the bodice, because now all we have to do is add the skirt, but we're gonna quarter up the bodice just to make sure that how it's easier to add the skirt. But so what you're gonna do here is, I like to go ahead and look at my side seams here, make sure they're going the same way, and pin those together. That's optional. I just do it because I like how it doesn't create a super bulky seam there. Just my opinion, my preference. All right, so then what you're going to do is match up those side seams to find the true front middle and back middle here with both of your lining and outside pieces together. Your main piece, I keep calling it outside piece, but I think the pattern actually calls it your main piece. So that's the front or back, whichever you want it to be, because this is the same front and the back. And then this one here too. All right, so now we have 4 points marked on 4 points marked on our actual bodice here. And so now we just need to attach our skirt. So I'm sure you guys can see. So my bodice is facing this way, the hole is facing this way. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and add my skirt like this. So this part here, come on, yes, you guys can't see nothing. Okay, so here's my skirt, right? Here's the hole of the skirt. And I'm gonna go ahead and put one of my points here. So here's the hole of the skirt. And here's the bodice. I'm going to grab my 2 front pieces here, or back, whichever you want it to be, and then grab a pin here. I grabbed 2 and pin it. And then you're going to go around to the edge here. We already added a pin here, so I like to just go ahead and take it, move it, match that point up, pin it, go around now to the back or the front, whichever one you decide to make this. And then pin it. One of them will have to be the back though, because you need to add your tags if you're selling or gifting for compliance purposes. And then we'll add this one here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this pin that I added on the side seam. And then we'll just circle, or do a circle seam here to add the skirt too. So that's how it looks. The bodice is now in there, and it was right side out, and now the skirt is right sides to the right side skirt. So it's right sides together. So this, what you're looking at, is the inside of the skirt. All right, let me go ahead and make sure I got a tag out to make this really easy. I like to start on a side seam. It's just what I like to do. So let's go ahead and set this up so I don't forget to put it back over here. All right, so at the side seam here, that's what I like to do. And I'm not going around the circle on the inside just because I like to add my tags, and it makes it a lot difficult to add your tags if you go around the inside of the circle. So I do like to go on the inside of the circle for tiny cuffs. It makes it a lot simpler. So you're not going to stretch. The more you stretch, the more wavy your seam's going to be. Also, if you're not stretching and your seam is still wavy, check your differential feed, which is this one right here. Check that one. I typically make it, I make this go to a smaller number if it gets wavy. But for double brush poly, this is pretty much what I keep it at. So hopefully I can get this. Nope. All right, so hopefully that helps. But I'm not stretching the fabric. All I'm doing is, it does require you to pull it just a little bit just a teeny bit to make everything lay flat. So you want your skirt and your two raw edges from your bodice to line up here. So let's go ahead. I did remove that pin. I didn't say I did, but I removed the pin. So don't go over your pins with the serger. Alright, so I'm going to call this spot right here my back, and that's where I'm going to add my tag while I'm thinking about it, because I typically tend to forget. Alright, so this would be the back point here. Make sure there's no wrinkles and everything. Make sure your edges are together. I'm going to grab my tag here, my sew-in tag. Lord, I think I just dropped. No, okay, I found it. Sew-in tag here, so it's a foldable sew-in tag. I like to hold it like this. Put it right here, smack dab in the middle where I made that point. Hold on to it as it goes underneath the serger knife. And now it's in there for good. Alright. To the other side seam, remove your pins. Just make sure everything is still lined up, that you're moving your fabric out of the way. There's no wrinkles. Your skirt and your two pieces of your bodice are still lined up. Last pin here, and we're going to go back over where we started. This is the last stretch. I'm trying to keep all the fabric folded down so you guys can see. It's a little difficult. Sorry you guys can't see everything. Alright, back over where I started right here. Pull it. And then tuck your tail here. And the peplum is done. Let's look at it. So you're going to flip your skirt over. And I believe that's the back side. But the peplum is done. That's what it looks like. When you are all done, sleeves, make sure your sleeves are good. So that's what it looks like. Super cute. Can't wait to see this on the little model. So I hope you guys like this video. It really is simple. You just basically skip that burrito step and then do the side seams, you know, fold it over, and then you add your sleeves to the unfinished hole. But that's how it goes. They're super cute, super twirly. Love this pattern. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're trying to hit 10K subscribers before the end of the year, so help us out if you haven't subscribed and you're enjoying our videos. So again, hope you like this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.